Gary, Indiana, 1958. In a modest working-class home, a little boy was born, the youngest of many siblings. His name, Michael Joseph Jackson. From his very first steps, he danced. From his earliest words, he sang. His mother, Catherine, immediately noticed a spark in his eyes. His father, Joe, stricter and more demanding, saw potential and an opportunity. By the age of 5, Michael was already performing on stage with his brothers in a group called the Jackson 5. Under Joe's harsh discipline, rehearsals were endless. Mistakes were not tolerated. But Michael, with his pure voice and magnetic charisma, quickly stood out as the star of the group. Weekends were filled with talent shows in local clubs. Wherever they performed, the Jackson 5 lit up the stage. Soon word spread, a group of black kids who could make white America dance. But what no one knew yet was that the smiling little boy would soon reinvent music and forever change the face of entertainment. Inside the gleaming offices of Motown Records in Detroit, executives watched in awe as a young Michael Jackson spun across the floor. The Jackson 5 had just auditioned for Berry Gordy, the legendary founder of Motown, and Michael, barely 11 years old, had stolen the room. Soon after, the Jackson 5 were signed, and their lives changed forever. With their debut single, I Want You Back, the group exploded onto the national scene. The song soared to #1, and so did the next 3, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There. Michael wasn't just a child singer, he was a phenomenon. His energy, voice, and natural rhythm made him a television darling, his afro bouncing as he moonwalked across America's living rooms. Before the moonwalk even had a name, but beneath the dazzling lights, Michael felt the pressure mount. Every smile on stage masked exhaustion. His childhood was slipping away behind rehearsals, tours, and screaming fans. Yet even at this age, Michael had a dream, a bigger dream than Motown, his brothers, or even the fame itself. He wanted to become the greatest entertainer the world had ever seen. By the mid-1970s, the Jackson 5 had become a household name. But Michael was changing, growing taller, more reserved, more thoughtful. While his brothers were content in the spotlight, he was dreaming beyond it. He began listening to artists like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, and James Brown, studying their every move. He wanted more than catchy pop. He wanted art, something that would live forever. In 1979, at just 20 years old, Michael made a bold move. He released his first true solo album as an adult, Off the Wall, produced by the innovative Quincy Jones. The sound was fresh, disco, funk, soul, and pop, all fused into something uniquely Michael, with hits like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. The album was a triumph. Critics praised it, fans loved it. Michael had arrived, not as the boy from the Jackson 5, but as a solo superstar. Still, he wasn't satisfied. He had a voice inside him, whispering that Off the Wall wasn't enough. He didn't just want success, he wanted history. 1982. The studio lights were dim. Michael stood beside Quincy Jones, headphones on, pouring every ounce of emotion into the microphone. What they were creating wasn't just another album. It was a revolution in sound. The album was called Thriller. No one knew it yet, but it would become the best-selling album of all time. With tracks like Billie Jean, Beat It, and the spine-chilling title song Thriller, Michael pushed every boundary, musically, visually, culturally. He didn't just sing, he told stories. He didn't just perform, he commanded. When the Thriller music video premiered, a 14-minute mini-movie filled with zombies, dance routines, and cinematic drama, the world stood still. MTV had never seen anything like it. Neither had anyone else. Michael Jackson wasn't just a pop star anymore. He had become a global icon, a one-man phenomenon. Thriller shattered records, earned a record-breaking 8 Grammy Awards, and transformed music videos into an art form. And yet, with all the success, Michael remained an enigma, shy in interviews, soft-spoken in public, but untouchable on stage. The boy from Gary had become the king of pop, and he was just getting started. By 1987, Michael Jackson was no longer just a musician. He was a myth. Crowds swelled wherever he went. Tabloids chased his every move. Fans fainted at the sight of him. But fame had a price, and Michael began to feel the weight of the crown he wore. His follow-up album, Bad, was a daring statement. He no longer wanted to be just beloved. He wanted to be respected, even feared. The leather, the attitude, the edge, it was all intentional. Songs like Smooth Criminal, Dirty Diana, and Man in the Mirror showed a more complex Michael, one who questioned the world and himself. Behind the scenes, he was growing more reclusive. Neverland Ranch became his personal sanctuary, a fantasy world where he could escape cameras, critics, and expectations. But the world wouldn't stop watching. People whispered about his changing appearance, his soft voice, his childlike nature. They didn't see the boy who had never had a normal childhood. They didn't hear the pain behind the lyrics. Michael was becoming both larger than life and deeply alone. And yet, through the music, he kept sending a message. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. The 1990s arrived with triumph and turbulence. Michael's 1991 album, Dangerous, was another evolution. The sound was sharper, the themes bolder. With tracks like Black or White, Remember the Time, and Heal the World, he spoke of unity, history, and healing. His music became a force for global connection. He danced on rooftops. He performed for presidents and royalty. He filled stadiums in countries he had never seen before. Millions wept just to be near him. Michael Jackson was no longer a pop star. He was a planetary phenomenon. But as his influence grew, so did the shadows. In 1993, his world was rocked by allegations that would change his life forever. Despite a lack of evidence and a public denial, the damage was done. His name, once sacred, became a source of scandal. The headlines were relentless, the scrutiny unbearable. Still, he performed at the Super Bowl, on world tours, in hospitals and orphanages, far from the cameras. The magic never disappeared. It just lived in contrast with growing pain. Michael stood at a crossroads, beloved by millions, haunted by whispers, and through it all, he kept dancing. By the late 90s, Michael Jackson had become a man trapped between worlds, the artist and the spectacle, the legend and the rumor. His 1995 album, History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1, was part autobiography, part declaration of war. It was angry, it was grand, and it was deeply personal. In songs like Scream, a duet with his sister Janet, and They Don't Care About Us, he lashed out at the media, the injustice, the suffocating pressure. He told his truth in the only language he fully trusted, music. But as the years passed, the walls around him grew higher. Neverland, once a refuge, became a fortress. Michael's appearance changed further. His behavior became harder to understand. Some saw a man who was fading. Others saw a soul desperately clinging to childhood, to innocence, to peace. Still, every time he stepped on stage, the magic returned. His 1997 short film, Ghosts, was a haunting reflection of how the world saw him, as both terrifying and misunderstood. He danced like a phantom, beautiful and tragic. Behind the curtain, Michael remained elusive, but his message echoed louder than ever. Judge me not by what you think you see. Look deeper. place of joy became the center of a nightmare. But inside the courtroom, a different story unfolded. Over months of testimony and relentless headlines, Michael stood silent, dignified, and unshaken. In 2005, he was found not guilty on all counts. The courtroom gasped, the fans wept, but the damage had already been done. Michael withdrew from the world. Neverland was left behind. He lived between countries, shadowed by debt, distrust, and disillusionment. Yet through the darkness, whispers of a comeback began to rise. He wasn't finished, not yet. Somewhere deep inside, the boy from Gary still dreamed of one final performance, a chance to remind the world who he truly was. 2009. As the world awaited his grand return, This Is It, a series of sold-out shows in London, Michael Jackson was preparing, rehearsing, perfecting. The fire still burned in him. He danced as if time had not passed. The king of pop was ready to reclaim his crown. But on June 25th, the unthinkable happened. Michael Jackson died at the age of 50. The world stood still.